So my name is Yaroslav Korniyets. I'm a product and partnerships manager at Cinegy. I'm directly responsible for Cinegy Multiviewer and a bunch of other products, but I also overlook the preparation for the trade shows. So that's why I'm telling you what we're going to be showing at this year's NAB. Yeah, effectively, at this NAB show, we are proud to present the following new versions of our products. So they all have been released in the last few months, or in the first few months of year 2024. So the and title version 24.1 were released in January. Multiviewer and Capture followed in February, and all of them are major releases. Multiviewer is based on the new code base, so effectively the Cinegy ML media layer and Cinegy Cinecoder, which is responsible for encoding, decoding, and like our codec side, the guts of the Cinegy, so to say. Cinegy Multiviewer is based on the new code base, the new generation, and Capture will follow shortly. I know the work is now being completed to move them to the new code base, and we'll talk about the main advantages of the new code base of Multiviewer in particular, and the upcoming changes in the other releases as we delve deeper into this during our webinar today. So first of all, as usually with our updates, we introduced a lot of optimization. So our R&D department constantly works on optimizing the CUDA performance, hence how we engage with NVIDIA GPUs, or generally with the GPUs. We're working really hard to optimize the performance for Intel and AMD CPUs that we offer, and this release is no change. So we've made our software better compatible with the latest versions of the drivers, and tested it on the latest operating systems with the latest updates. And even sometimes even that is more than enough of a reason to push a new release. But it's not just that. We offered a number of new features, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. Mostly they revolved around the user experience in the playout control and security improvements. When it comes to title, we are effectively placing our results of our market research of how our customers are using our graphics and our graphics engine to improve their experiences. So we have ran a few surveys with customers of ours who are actively using Cinegy Title to see how we make their life better and easier every day whilst using the software. So some of those bits are already in the title engine. Some of those are going to be introduced in the next versions. So here we have the first feature in the first major change in Cinegy Air control. So with the introduction of version 24.1, there is no need to restart the control application if you want to change the active channels. So if you are controlling multiple channels from a single instance of air control, you can just go to the playout menu in the window on the top side, as you may see here in the center of the slide. Select the channels, and it will bring in the channels that you need to work with right now, even though some of them might have been deselected at the beginning of the session. This helps to save time for the operators and work with it in a nicer, better fashion. The other option is to that we added to improve the security is to basically deactivate the control buttons. So there is more and more of our customers who are running the playout automation in a headless mode, so to say, where the only role of a human operator who's watching it is limited to effectively making sure, like making notes of the QC of the videos and making sure that the ads go online on time, and the graphics and so on and so forth. And basically, some of that staff is not trained to engage with the manual control of the playout, and that's why there is an option to gray out the start queued, queue next, queue selected items, so that the decisions about what is programmed and what goes on air are made at planning and scheduling stage, maybe in a traffic system externally or during the playlist creation, but not at the time when the playlist is already scheduled. Moving on, the other improvement that we added to Air was regarding the timeline. I'm not sure whether all of you use the Cinegy Air controls timeline, but timeline really helps with multi-playlist and multi-day programs, because it gives you the visualization of the structure of your playlist, of blocks, of programs, of which is essential for navigating the playlist, and the categories. So effectively, as you may know, these flags, the categories that are customizable and that we added, have existed for a while, for a few versions now, but we now linked the categories and their colors to the timeline, so that if the operator wants to locate, let's say, the items of a time promo or interstitials or slates or whatever, they can just look up the color in the timeline rather than effectively scroll through it endlessly to find the right thumbnail. We also improved, added a minor improvement in the way we work with capture engines for the secondary recordings. Not sure if you are all familiar with that, but one of the secondary event types available in Cinegy Air Control is secondary recordings, and that engages Cinegy Capture engines to take care of those recordings for you. So you can now specify multiple engines in the syntax of the secondary event and send it to as many of them as you wish, and link them to the right engine ID that you would like to use. And yeah, it's now up to 99. And finally, the only other addition that I thought I would mention during this presentation is the support for RossTalk protocol. So this is a protocol that connects Cinegy playout engine with the SDI routers. And it's not just the Ross video that uses this protocol, it's just that it's them who designed it. But this effectively expands the variety of SDI routers and external devices that Cinegy playout engine can integrate it with and talk with. So that is now on board, that is already available. What's next? Title. So as I was mentioning, there was a market research that we carried out recently to talk to the graphics professionals and gather their feedback from using Cinegy title, and that resulted in a long list of improvements and changes. Some of the most revolutionary ones will be introduced with the next major release, which hopefully you won't need to wait for too long. But there are already some first signs of title becoming more user-friendly and becoming more available, and small things like using the run button for the slates and things like better work with the colors that you select, because if you need to prepare numerous uh, sets of graphics for your channel on a daily basis, and your channel has fixed color schemes for usually the seasons or just generally fixed branding, you might want to use specific colors with specific hex codes. And rather than memorizing or writing down those hex codes on a post-it note and then typing them in to pick it, you can actually use the recent colors panel that is now available in Cinegy Title and work with them in a smoother and more reliable fashion. There is also some enhancements in terms of what we select, what we offer as like color selection, and among other improvements that you might have missed, it's the introduction of the styles in text that the title engine can render. So if you, I'm not gonna dig deep into how that is done. I encourage you to actually go to Cinegy Open and search the information about it and give it a try, because it's one of the truly remarkable features. And more features are coming in the new releases I just mentioned. Particularly, I won't like reveal all the cards because the product manager of Cinegy Title wouldn't like it. But I will tell you that one of the products may or may not be that the Cinegy CG Studio, one of the products that may change. So tune up and watch for more updates. And if you're really curious, if you're feeling really curious about that, come over to us at NAB, find us at NAB and talk to us. And if you're not traveling there, just send us an email and we'll guide you through the existing new features or the coming new features. Well, now we are gonna cover the favorite child of mine, because I have an honor to be a product manager of Cinegy Multiviewer, and I can talk about the new enhancements and new features in it for ages, for hours and hours. But I'll have mercy on you, and I won't steal all of your time. So we'll just scratch the surface with Multiviewer, and I'll tell you. I'll bring you a brief overview of the newest features. So, as I mentioned before, we are using the new code base, which allowed us to increase the encoding decoding speed performance. And there is also a number of new introductions into the family of GPUs that we now support. So first of all, it's of course AMD GPUs. For a long time, Cinegy used to only offer the NVIDIA GPUs in all of our software. Now, starting with Multiviewer, and as I said, the rest of the products will follow. We offer AMD GPUs for hardware acceleration of your encoding and decoding, for scaling. They can be used for anything that you would normally need an NVIDIA GPU. You can also use it in mixed modes. So, like if you equip your server with multiple GPUs and you are using an NVIDIA one and an AMD one, they can work side by side with no problem whatsoever. So the integration is seamless, and it offers the mixed modes, and that of course pushes up the versatility and efficiency that you can squeeze out of your multiviewer server. When it comes to the other feature that is worth mentioning, it's the NDI source tolerance mode. So we now offer two modes. The strict one, which is the mode that Multiviewer and other Cinegy software used to work in by default, which would be rather strict about the frame rates and frame sizes parameters of the stream. So effectively about your selection of the video format and input mode, whereas adaptive mode lets the decoder decide which parameters are better suited for it and pick them for decoding in Multiviewer on the go, and just make it easier for your Multiviewer and more flexible in terms of sources, especially when you have to change them. So, of course, it allows for a broader range of sources, and both software generated and hardware generated, and it enables more use cases effectively. Other thing that I would like to focus on is the enhancements that we introduced in APIs. So it's been a long journey because if you were following the previous releases, we have introduced some of the improvements into APIs back then, but this time we went further. We introduced the ability to work on to address specific outputs. So those of you, it's not just the API calls, you can actually experience them and witness them by using the remote control web interface that is available in Multiviewer by default. So if you open your configurator and your Multiviewer is already, given that your Multiviewer is already running, and go to the general tab, you would see that little link that will open up a browser and offer you the control over your layouts. This is an option that is difficult to overestimate in remote work and multi-layout configurations. So our enhancements allowed to address specific names of the layout and have a better control and a better steering of them, which enabled us in turn to build really wonderful custom dashboards and fit them into the requirements of the customer workflows and customer daily needs. So what you see here on the screen is not our interface, it's the interface of Elgato Stream Deck. This is a device familiar that a lot of gamers would be familiar with because they use it for streaming the games. So it's effectively a customizable keyboard that you can buy for a few $100 online, and you can attach different devices, different commands to those buttons that appear as a screen. So this here is an example of how you can customize Stream Deck to serve as the remote control for your Multiviewer. But it's not just it, because in this version we added the WebSocket preview, which displays the currently active player video signal in your web interface, which enables some interface, some use case scenarios that are even more flexible and even better for suited for remote work, like I don't know, connecting using that remote interface for using a web browser at home, or using a tablet or a mobile phone to have a look at what's going on there. Because given that this is a web solution, it's cross-platform, and there is no need to worry whether it's a MacBook that you're trying to use to control it, an iPad, or a phone. So we are, of course, working on adding even more awesome API calls that would enhance the experience. But at this point, this is what it is. So I do encourage you to go and give it a try. If you want a customization similar to this or any customization, I must remind you that we have Cinegy Professional Services Department, and we are happy to help you with that customization, either by consulting you or and getting you in touch with a developer, or just designing the whole thing for you in accordance to your specifications that we would sit down and design. Moving on to the next one, and apart from adding the new vendor and AMD as a new vendor for the GPUs, we also made a lot of improvements in the way we work with the GPUs. So one of the first things to mention is, one of the first things to mention is the an ability to select the GPU that you want to use for encoding your output feeds. So in early days, it was just the first GPU by default. We realized that our multi-viewer installations are getting denser, and the multi-GPU servers are more and more common with time. So you can now effectively assign the specific device to encode a specific IP output in the output settings, and that gives you more versatility, of course. The other thing that we improved, which is a tiny improvement, but I think it goes a long way. If you look at the left side of this configurator window, before this version, we would only offer you to select from a really comprehensive range of card number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, whereas in the new version, it is actually the names of the cards that are being used, and it matches the number of cards that are there in your server. So that saves some time and helps with the performance distribution, with a better performance distribution in Multiviewer. Last but not least is the support of SIMT 2110 as valid input devices. So we are talking about the cards by Aja and Deltacast, but there is also a Blackmagic card that is supported. So it's something that we announced as a beta feature. So as we all know, the AGA cards that support SIMT 2110, the Kona IP, have been unfortunately deprecated, but we still have the support for them in anticipation that AJA will introduce a successor for that card. We obviously support a range of 2110 IP cards from Deltacast, so those can be used in Cinegy Multiviewer. And Blackmagic, well, you might want to test it first, but Blackmagic IP is also supported in our labs, from according to what I heard from our team, and the support is there. So you may feel free to play with it and give us some feedback if you're feeling like it. Moving on to Cinegy Capture. So this is another one of our flagship products, and we have improved the performance as well. So all the comments that I'm left for Cinegy Air and Title and Multiviewer regarding the general improvements of the pipeline and the compatibility with modern systems, that also applies to Cinegy Capture, but it's not, of course, just those items that we wanted to mention. I did mention the Deltacast vendor already when we were talking about Multiviewer, and there was another reason for us to talk about them. It's because Cinegy Capture now supports the DeltaCast 12G boards. So it's the latest range, allowing for the support of the UHD TV formats. So the latest version of SDK has been integrated in Cinegy Capture, and you can now record the UHD feeds reliably from one more input the I/O card from DeltaCast. So the other items that I wanted to talk about would be mostly focused on codecs. As you may see in the animation, we can bring in the DeltaCast devices. But let's move on further. And yeah, one of the items is the improvement in the way we work with the engine gangs. So for those of you who are not familiar with it, gang control for the engines is a concept that we offer in Cinegy Capture control application, where you can group the engines into gangs, and then if you are recording the multiple sources scheduled at the same time, you can just send commands to start or stop or split once by clicking the buttons once, rather to a group of engines, rather than attempting to time it somehow using multiple operators or multiple machines or whatever other painful methods were there before the introduction of that. So effectively, we introduced the sorting of these groups here by templates, by statuses, and this allows for an improved management of larger engine groups, and this is quite an improvement in the way you can work with it. So next item that I wanted to talk about is the session warnings. We received some feedback from our customers that even though it's helpful, it's really a nice feature to have the warnings panels in Capture Control. Some of those errors accumulate, and they actually trouble the operators that have to work with that. And we decided that while some of those errors may be ignored or may be chosen to be ignored by the operator, to be more precise, this feature was quite easy and quite helpful to add, to reset the session of warnings and see what exactly is happening to our source in this particular moment and this particular session. The other feature that is worth mentioning is the strict format. So similar to Multiviewer feature that I mentioned before, this is only NDI sources specific, by the way. So effectively, it yeah, sorry, just got distracted. Yeah, effectively, in Multiviewer, this is NDI sources specific, but here in Capture, it's not. And the strict format is also available for MPEG TS for the usual transport streams over IP, which means that the engines would be less tolerant to a fluctuation of feeds, and especially if you are using it in more advanced scenarios, like using the virtual destinations by Cinegy route as your capture inputs, and you can route different sources there that may lead to some incompatibility. So that's why the strict mode is one of the things that we want to add. When it comes to NDI in Capture case, it works in a similar manner to Multiviewer, except if it's enabled, it's the normal way we used to work with NDI. If it's disabled, it automatically switches to what we call in Multiviewer an adaptive mode that allows you to receive different sources that do not effectively match the settings of your decoder that you specified manually. Moving on to the crown jewel of capture features, it's the DNX HR encoder and the enhancements that we added. So there is an option to use it as a proxy for a UHD format. So you can effectively, with this codec, you can configure an automatic downscaling to 720p, and that will be created just on the fly without any extra effort. And those brilliant UHD ready codecs capable of working in 10-bit will be used at their best potential. And I think that sums up the presentation today. Among the other things that we are going to present would be our cloud applications, and we'll show the progress where we are with the Air Cloud and Desktop Cloud. So we have now supported apart from just the public object storages like Amazon S3 bucket, we now have the proper integration with the private ones that you can set up yourselves, like Bean.io. So you can talk to us about that at NAB, and here's a little map on how to find us. It's going to be the West Hall, and if you imagine a little triangle between the massive booths of Adobe, ROS, and Blackmagic Design, we are somewhere in the middle of that triangle, as you may see. So just because their booths are so humongous, that would be the easiest way to navigate and find us. Among the other features that I was thinking would be worth mentioning, or other releases that we are preparing, we are still working on the new versions of Archive that hopefully will be released in the next in the coming weeks, perhaps even before NAB. We are happy to talk about your cloud migration or cloud integration. We are happy to talk about AI because the work is being carried out to integrate some of AI libraries into one of our software pieces. And effectively, if you are there at the show, I cordially invite you to stop by and talk to us and ask your questions, share your feedback, share your joy or share your grief. We will be there to talk to you about that and see whether we can help you with anything. I now encourage you to ask some of the questions. So as I mentioned earlier, in your user interface of the GoToWebinar, on the right side, there should be a question mark. If you click on that, you can type in your question, and I will be able to see it in my presenter panel, and I can address something now. If you think that you would need some time to come up with questions later, you can send it to us directly to any of the emails. You can send it to me at yaroslav@cinegy.com. You can send it to sales, and if it addresses me, they will redirect it. Don't be strangers. Just feel free to reach out. I think I see the first question. So there was a question about 2110 support. So regarding 2110 in Multiviewer, are you planning to support DeltaCast virtual IP solution? Yes, indeed. In fact, we have run some preliminary tests, and they seem to be all right. So for those of you who are not familiar, The virtual IP is DeltaCast software 2110 solution, so it doesn't require an input-output card. Or is not limited by the number of ports in the I/O card that they offer. That is the more precise definition, and in that the handset offers a better density, which is perfect for multi-viewer scenarios. I've got to say that we are planning to test it in our labs, and I personally have that plan to be involved there to have a better glimpse into how it works. But effectively, I encourage you to come back later with this question, or I'll just reach out to you directly and send an update if there is interest. But from what I heard from the developers, all the elements that need to be there to support it are already there, and it is in the current release version. We just need to run more thorough tests regarding the integration for that. You know what I mean? There's some more questions. So someone is asking about the NDI source tolerance mode and asking for more details about it. Okay, so just to give you a better understanding of why we even tried to add it there and why it matters that much, it's because of the specific way the software NDI decoders work. So they are quite demanding, but probably a better word would be fussy about the parameters that you predefine. So if you remember the slide in Cinegy Multiviewer config that I was showing you that accompanied this, we can have a look at it at the recording or just open it up in your Multiviewer. There are at least two parameters that you need to configure in the Multiviewer to receive your NDI feed. So one of them is the video mode. That would be the options like video and audio, audio only or video only, as well as the TV format. So that would be a combination of a frame size and a frame rate. So we noticed in some of the versions, in earlier versions, that should you make a mistake of specifying the wrong frame rate for your NDI feed that you are trying to receive in Cinegy Multiviewer or any other software, and it's not just the issue that was persistent in Cinegy software, so to say, the other vendors were struggling with that as well. So if you happen to specify the wrong TV format, the stream wouldn't be decoded. So if we are talking about if you're trying to receive a feed that is 1080 P2997 and you selected the P5994 option, the feed wouldn't be there. So yeah, moreover, we noticed that even the NDI tools from the NDI SDK, they do not always match with the broadcast standards, and effectively we always obey them, and for us they are important because of respect to our market. So when I say they don't match the NDI standards, things like the test pattern generator, for instance, claims to generate the feed in the TV format that you selected from there, but then you struggle to catch it. And once we started digging deeper, we realized with some NDI feed analysis that they are broadcasting this as 1080p at 1 FPS. So it is obviously saving them some overhead and performance, but it's not helpful for the receiver. So that adaptive mode allows you to ignore the fact that the stream, the feed may not be compliant with the broadcast standard, and when you select the adaptive mode, the decoder effectively just picks the parameters that are best to decode it and effectively display it. So what the biggest winner of this feature is that in your multiviewer, you can use not just the professional tools or professional cameras or software. You can also use the freeware, like, I don't know, OBS Studio, or even some other items that are less known, or the PTZ cameras from vendors that are not big names in the market, so effectively cut the costs of the equipment that you are using in your production. I think I expanded too much on this question, so I'll move on to the last one I have there. One of the attendees is asking about how the changes in the UI in air control can improve the security of playout automation. So as I just mentioned, with the software, there is a lot of different areas of application, and Cinegy Playout is great for any use case, no matter if it's a multi-channel television facility, or master control, or broadcast services unit, or it's a small channel for a local community somewhere that is run by community members. Effectively, with this become of course on a smaller scale, there would be more manual control involved, but at a larger scale it gets more and more expensive to get trained operators that can control it, and those features of planning the playlist and scheduling it in advance may be sometimes offloaded and outsourced. Sometimes there is a planning department that makes those decisions, and in terms of not really a security, it's just the segregation of user rights that allows you to restrict the actions of having direct impact on what is now scheduled in your automation control. So restricting those actions allows the users to the managers at the stations to effectively have more control of what is going on air, and reduce the risk of human mistake. I don't have any more questions, and unless I see them in the next few seconds, I think we're good to wrap up. I think we already overran, so apologies for that, and thanks for those of you who stayed till the end. I hope that the information you heard today was interesting, and I'm hoping to bring you more awesome facts about Cinegy software. So as a reminder, stop by at booth number SL6031 in the Western Hall. Find us, talk to us, say hello, come for I don't know, a little refreshment. We are always happy to see you guys. So at this point, I will be wrapping it up, and wishing you all a wonderful day, and thanks for your time again.